Hello there, it's Tamara Dorris, and guess what it is? It is day three of your decision. Remember, day one, we talked about, I'm just going to look at my notes here. I mean, I know them by heart, but I just really want to make sure that we're on the same page. So day one, we talked about the big decision, the core beliefs, the decision you make about who you are in the world and how safe the world is and all of that. So that's the number one decision. The number two decision is your daily decisions on how you respond to things. So key. And I'm going to tell you, the first one causes the second one, right? Like if you have these decisions made when you're young that it's not a safe world, I can't trust people, I'm not good enough, then of course you're going to get triggered every single day in many different ways. And then you're going to make the decision to react instead of respond, because it's your automatic nervous system goes right into fight or flight and you just take off with it. So those first two decisions are key. But now let's get to the fun stuff. Now let's talk about the third decision, which is all about manifesting. My favorite topic. So what I find after coaching hundreds and hundreds and thousands, really, and many thousands if you want to count readers and students over the last 25 years, what I have found is that there are two kinds of people. There are people who are committed, and there are people who are interested. And I'm pretty sure that Tony Robbins was the first person who I said, who I heard say that. You're either interested or you're committed. But I want to take it to another level when it comes to intention work. Now, everyone is attracted to intention work. And like if I had to boil it down to what my research in science and neuroscience and psychology has been about, and metaphysics, all these years, I would say, and I do say it, the science of intention. I mean, that would be my tagline. I coach, research, write all about the science of intention. So that being the case, intention is kind of a pretty cool word. People like it. They're like, okay, we're going to get together. We're going to have, like in my group coaching, we have intention sessions, like where we all get together and we intend for each other or we intend for ourselves or whatever. So there's a lot of power in intentions. My mentor in intention work was Dr. William Tiller. And I don't mean mentor as in I work with him personally, but I feel like I know him before he passed away. But I still read his work. And if you want to look him up, his books are incredibly thick and complicated, and it will take an average human being. It's like reading the Bible. That's how big his books are. And he gets really mathematical. Math is not my strong suit. So when he starts talking about vector to the L to the curly R, I don't know. But then when he puts it into more simpler terms, I'm able to understand it. When I say simpler, he's still a scientist. So his idea of simpler is the pH level drop 15 degrees, things like that. The point being that everyone reads, and there's a lot of popular books on intention. And I don't mean just mine, I mean other books. And people think, well, I'm going to set an intention that I'm going to attract a lot of new clients. Okay, good. Now let's bring in Tony Robbins' question. Are you interested or are you committed? And here's where the decision is. What I have found bar none, the people who succeed with the big intentions are those who have made a decision to see that come true. And it doesn't matter. I have researched this more than you can even imagine. It doesn't matter if this person started out in an abusive childhood and this person had life handed to them, or vice versa. There is no rhyme or reason to why one person gets ahead and one person doesn't. In other words, I could take, I do research, or excuse me, I do real estate, right? So I could take all the real estate agents and I could take 10 different mega top producing agents. Some will have had a really good childhood. Some will have had a really crappy childhood, but they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. Others will have had just a regular old, middle class childhood. Some will have read a lot of self-help. Some will have not read any. Some will have had therapy. Some will have not done any. Some will have had past drug addictions, alcohol addictions. Some will have been grade A students. Some will have been barely squeaking by. I have explored, and I did my first book researching this in, I don't know when, 2002, in my graduate studies. My dissertation, you might get a kick out of this if you're in real estate. My dissertation was called See How They Sell, and it explored the top 200 agents at that time. And back then, everyone was just getting email, and it was like AOL and yahoo.com. Not making fun of you if you still have those as email addresses. I'm just saying there wasn't the internet as we know it now. And in fact, if you're in real estate, the person who oversaw my dissertation, because it had to be someone in the industry, was Alex Creel, who was at that time the head of government affairs in the California Association of Realtors, because I worked with him, right? So, and don't think for a minute that he was easy on me, right? He really pushed me. So I love Alex. Anyway, that being said, that was my first stint in researching it, and I've never lost my obsession or interest with it. But here's where it all this rambling on goes to point, or to prove my point. The one difference between the mega agents and the non-mega agents, and this goes for you in your business, this goes for you in your health, it goes for anything, is the ones that get to the top or higher up made a decision to do it. They made a decision to do it. Setting an intention is all well and good, and I love to talk about it. I love the word intention. I love what it means. But I'm going to tell you what I have found, and this is especially over the last 10 years. And I think it's even more so since post-COVID. But people think they're setting an intention, but they're not making a decision. And going back to Dr. William Tiller, the people in his intention studies, they didn't just say, wouldn't it be nice if this fruit fly grew wings? And don't even ask me if they plucked the wings off. I don't want to talk about that. But they didn't just say, oh, that's our intention, let's intend on that. No. Intention to them was they made a decision in their mind with their heartfelt energy. They were intending, they were deciding that fruit fly was going to grow wings back. And you know what? The fruit flies grew wings back. He did many studies on this. So the decision is where I'm questioning you. And this is why this is our third video. I'm questioning you because you can tell me, yeah, Tamara, I really want to have a booming business. Or yeah, Tamara, I really want to meet the love of my life. But have you made a decision that that's what it's going to be? You know, I remember a time in my life when I didn't have a high school education, when I was living on food stamps. I remember making a decision. I remember the moment that I made the decision. In fact, I talk about it in my book, With the Butterfly, Mind Over Matter, which is part memoir and then part energy work. And I remember the moment I made a decision. And it was a very poignant moment in my life. And I'm like, this is not flying anymore. I made a decision. I'm going to change it. Could you call it an intention? Sure. But it was a decision. And that's what fueled the intention. Okay? So the reason that I want you to use the word decision is because when you make a decision, there's no going back. It's like what Tony said about commitment. Are you deciding that you're going to be successful? Are you willing to sit right here now and say, I'm deciding this? You know, I can use another example. When I remember, I started out without even having a high school diploma, and I made a decision I wanted to be a college professor. What? And I'm sitting here in front of you now, 21 years I've been a college professor with a graduate degree, graduated with honors. A decision. I remember when my whole life, since I was 10 years old, I used to write. And back when I wanted to write, there was no self-publishing. Let's go. My first few books were definitely not like, oh, let's just go online and get these published. But I made a decision that I was going to have books. I am an author. I decided that. So making the decision that I am an author, what do authors do? They write books. And what book am I working on right now? My 26. Because I made a decision. So when it comes to things like, and I don't mean to give you the impression that I'm not compassionate. But I don't think people are weak. I think they just fail to make decisions. I don't coach in weight loss and health and things like that. I have in my hypnotherapy practice, I used to do things like that. But people would come to me and they would say, I really want to lose 50 pounds, or I need to, the doctor says I have to, whatever it is. I'm not going to put them on a diet until I know that they're making the decision that they're going to do it. And I don't mean I'm a nutritionist. I just mean you can throw all the information at someone. Go to the gym 3 times a week, do this, do cardio, do strength training, eat this, eat that, eat this, whatever the nutritional part is. It doesn't matter. Everyone has their own idea, whatever. But that person, unless they make the decision, I am going to be a slimmer person. That's a decision. It's no turning back. Or a decision to quit smoking. Or a decision to be more grateful. Or a decision to be more abundant. That is a decision, my friend. That is a decision. Once you make a decision that you are committed to keeping, heaven and earth will open up for you. You will get assistance. You will get assistance from higher source, intelligence, your higher self. Let's say it's the weight loss thing. If you decide, it's only something that you can do in your mind, right? I can ask you about it. We can kind of go through it together, but only you know when you made the decision. And sadly, some of our most important decisions are made under fire. I don't want to die. I'm deciding to quit smoking right now because I just found out I have a spot on my lung, right? Or whatever it is. Or your doctor tells you, gee, you're going to have a heart attack. Or maybe for a lot of people, it takes them having a heart attack. And here's the irony of it. The insanity is some people who have a heart attack go home and eat French fries. There is no logic to it. But it's because they haven't made the decision. You have to make a decision. An intention is great, but until you make a decision for that intention, you're not showing the universe any commitment. You're not impressing upon your subconscious mind, this is happening come hell or high water. This is happening. Do you see the difference? It's like, in one of my books, I started talking about, I forget the people's, who their names, what their names were, but a young girl, maybe 15 years old, her dad was working on his Mercedes Benz and it freaking fell on him. And this girl lifted the car. And I know you've heard stories like that. Lifted the car. She did not take the time to set an intention. I'm going to lift this car off Daddy so he doesn't die. She didn't do that. She bypassed her limiting beliefs. She didn't calculate it I'm not going to, ooh, that's pretty heavy. I don't think, oh no, I'm a girl. I can't do that. There was none of that. There was, this is my dad. This is a decision. And the universe and your biology will pitch in to make it happen. That's just like with the placebo effect. I talk about the placebo effect all the time, but let's apply it in this case. What is the placebo effect? Your doctor gives you a sugar pill and says, this is going to heal your cancer. And you, in that instant, decided to believe him. And you decided to heal your cancer. And then your cancer spontaneously left your body, and all the medical professionals say, oh, that was what we call spontaneous healing. We don't know what causes it, but it's really rare. It's not really rare. It's a decision. It's a belief. It's your own biology with infinite source, all curled up in there like a DNA strand, right? That's how it works. So I'm going to leave you with this because I don't want to go past 15 minutes. Make a decision for the things you want in your life. And try not to have 10 at a time. I know there's some coaches that say, how do you want your spiritual life? How do you want your sex life? How do you want your finances? How do you want your travel, your recreation? When I make a decision, I want to focus on one thing. And yes, it may be to the detriment of everything else. And maybe that's wrong. I don't know. I don't care. I'm here for people who have a decision to be the best version of themselves so that they can make the best out of their business. And that starts with a decision. Not a wimpy intention, not an idea, a decision. I'm going to make this happen. And let me tell you, once you make that internal shift, that decision, there's no plan B. It's like burn the boats. We aren't going back. It's a decision. Okay? So hopefully you found this helpful. Lots of free stuff down below. Watch my videos, subscribe, tell me you love me, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.